Well, that would be me. Welcome and good afternoon. I'm glad so many of you stuck around. And as Catherine said, we took this pretty serious because we have been meeting literally morning, noon, and night and trying to put our ideas together and discuss what areas each of us would discuss. And it's pretty easy for us to break it down into school-based versus district versus state. And they all come with lots of issues. The first thing I'll say is how we are all greatly impressed with all the discussions and all the presenters and the research that has come out. There's been a lot of golden nuggets offered across the board. From a school-based person's point of view, I have a few things that I would say that were highlights for me. I was especially mesmerized by the biological evidence. I thought that was just a tremendous presentation and sort of affirmed what I thought all along, that we're all kind of wired differently and there's biological evidence. That's true. The most visual effect was the effect that long-term stress has on the adolescent brain. And that visual says more than 1,000 words. But what we know through brain research, that there is recovery available if we have the right interventions for those children that are involved in that. We certainly know from what we've heard today that there's more work to do. Obviously, the next step of this is somehow synthesizing all this information into one informational package. One of the things that came through to me was perhaps we need to revisit the actual definition of bullying, because it looks like from state to state, jurisdiction to jurisdiction, it may not have the same connotation, it may not have the same inclusion. So a clearly publicized central definition of bullying might be something that we would consider or taking a look at. Right now, one of the presentations that impressed me was obviously the one on technology. I love technology, and yet we don't have a program available to us at the school level right now that would deliver the message of bullying to the parents in the community, and I think that would be invaluable to have that. There might be some out there, but I would look for something of that nature. The other thing that I would like to see happen more than not is some program that begins at the elementary level that talks about the appropriate use of technology. We don't train our children on how to use those things that at 3 years old, they're already on the iPads. And they will be using them at the elementary level and are using them at the elementary level, and some of the pitfalls that they are not familiar with, they're going to fall into. So more work to be done in that area. Going into what we do after the event. We have a bullying incident. We follow our policy. We take care of the consequence as it's defined. And then what do we do for the bullied child? And what do we do with the child exhibiting bullying behaviors? Do we have programs that follow up so that we can have that prevention going forward? We've seen the long-lasting and costly impacts of not having that intervention and an ongoing intervention to help those children. And some of this is almost like stream of conscious, because I have been religiously taking notes about everything here, so bear with me a little bit. Looking at the whole picture, I think we've got a clear understanding there's no overnight fix. We also have something that I would call just implementation anxiety. We just are angst over how to get that program into the schoolhouse where it is accepted and then it is carried through, and there's that fidelity of implementation, the monitoring of that, and the follow-up. A number of the speakers here was talking about how important setting the stage for the program is. Bullying is not a silo. It cannot be taken out of context of the total school culture, and I think that's been clearly stated as we've heard from various groups here talking today. We're looking at how we create peer groups and peer group social norms in a schoolhouse. That is extremely important. More programs to help us develop that would be essential. I thought Dr. Rohrbach was right on target in all those things that would prevent us from implementing program. There are just so many conflicting must-dos that we are mandated, that we have to prioritize this, and finding ways to do that is essential. One of the questions I had after a presentation is, can we provide parents with some concrete guidelines for help with their bullied child? Because the law segment of that, well, I really can't tell you what I would tell a parent. Well, that's not a very good answer for a parent. You know, I will be expected to give them some steps, and hopefully I have those published, or I have those in a packet or a pamphlet or a program that they know what to do in that situation. So in that pretty much sums up my segment of school-based, and certainly I would be welcome to any questions as we complete our presentation. Thank you.